Hi guys, Abby here from House of Keto. We are baking for Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I have already baked a couple of things. I have some things in the oven, some things that are cooling, and the last thing that I think I'm going to bake, Huxley likes brownies, or as he calls them, chocolate muffins. He likes for things to either look like chocolate cake or look like a brownie in order for him to eat them. So I'm basically going to use my same I guess you could call it my base cake recipe. It's basically the recipe that I use whenever I'm baking something. So whether I'm making like a berry bread, a lemon bread, a pumpkin bread, just a plain vanilla bread, this is basically what I would do. This is gonna be my first time trying to make it chocolate. I really don't even need it to taste like chocolate. I just need it to look like chocolate. So the first thing we're gonna do is I like to use my KitchenAid mixer. I guess you could use a hand mixer if you have one, or I think they're called immersion blenders, I think is what they're called. So the first thing you're gonna do is 1 stick of butter. I'm gonna try not to say 1,000 times, but it's probably gonna happen, so I'm gonna warn you now. You're gonna have to make a choice. Do you wanna learn how to make keto cake, or are you gonna have an issue with me saying Because if you want keto cake, I'm gonna say I just can't help it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is just chop up some butter. Oh wait, hold on, something's happening here. I think I didn't attach this yet. Did I attach it? Yeah, it's attached. I don't know why it sounds like bootleg in here. Oh, let's try again, hold on. I don't know, it sounds all rickety for some reason, but I don't know. Maybe I need more stuff in there. Okay, so I'm gonna just chop up this stick of butter, put it in there. And this is butter that's been sitting at room temperature. I use salted butter. I don't really know why you would wanna use unsalted butter. Kind of weird, but whatevs. So we put the whole stick of butter in there, just chopped up. And then my favorite sweetener to bake with is always going to be the powdered version. But I love monk fruit sweetener. I feel like it has the least like alcohol aftertaste. So that's why I prefer monk fruit sweetener. My second favorite is probably gonna be the Swerve powdered sweetener. But I really don't like using just like the plain erythritol or xylitol, whatever, those options. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in, this is a half cup right here. I'm gonna add in 2 cups of powdered sweetener. I'm gonna add this right here. I do not recommend baking with the granulated versions of this. I just feel like the texture is weird. See, there we go. And I feel like part of the reason that the texture is weird is because it's like crystallized or granulated, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so you can use less sugar, but I want my kids to know that this is a treat. I want them to know that it's sweet. So I'm using, geez, I really cannot help but say, my bad. So, all right, so 2 cups of powdered keto-friendly sweetener. Like I said, my favorite is monk fruit, the Keto brand. And you're just mixing this up. You don't want it to go too fast, because if it goes too fast, it's just gonna get stuff everywhere. Like I said, this is like my 3rd batch of mix today, so things did get a little wild. So you're just kind of letting that beat together for a little bit. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna add a block of cream cheese, which is about 8 ounces. So one of the things I like to do is keep things super simple, because usually what happens is once I make a recipe, I forget how to make it. Like, I have a problem, I cannot follow other people's recipes, I can't even follow my own recipes, so I have to make it so simple that I remember. One of the ways that I make this super simple so that I remember is try to keep everything pretty much the same. So I've tried this recipe out quite a few times. I recommend getting your ingredients from Aldi if you're gonna be trying things out, because it's like $1 for a block of cream cheese. So if I mess it up, I'm not gonna be like freaking out because I spent like $4 for a block of name brand cream cheese. It's cream cheese, like it's not that big of a deal. So you guys can get the name brand stuff, but when I recipe test, I always stock up on stuff from Aldi, especially when I'm baking. So I'm just gonna chop this up and add it just piece by piece. The reason you don't wanna add the whole thing at once is because it'll just clump up and it won't mix well. So I just chop it and toss it in here. So 8 ounces of cream cheese, or 8 tablespoons of cream cheese, which is basically one block, one package. And then you have 8 tablespoons of butter, which is basically one stick of butter. And then the other way that I think about it is 2 cups of the powdered sweetener, 1 cup, even though it's not a liquid cup, it's still 8 ounces, so I just double that. And so it makes me, I don't know, it's easier for me to remember my recipe. So we're just adding this bit by bit. So we've done the cream cheese, we've done butter, and we have powdered sweetener in here. I'm just like turning it up a little bit so that it will be together a little bit more. I think you guys can see this. But all right, and then from here, I'm turning it down a little bit lower, and I'm going to add next my eggs. And again, super simple, super easy. I'm gonna use 8 eggs. I always have to count my eggs out ahead of time because one thing that happens is I will forget how many eggs I put in there, and I usually keep them in the carton so that I know. If you guys don't know this, baking is not like cooking. If you mess it up, it's messed up and you have to start over. So I've done that before where I thought I put something in there, but I didn't put it in there. Or I didn't think I put it in there and then I just added it again. So again, because I just like make stuff up as I go, I have to remember what I used so that I can do it again, and then so that I can tell you guys. So I'm just adding these eggs one at a time. You don't want to add them all at once, again, because everything will just clump up. And I do have one of those little spatula things I can put on here. I got it last year and I've just never opened it. Just like with my Instapot, I've never opened it. But I did get a juicer for this thing last year too, and I think I'm gonna open it this year because we're gonna make, you know, you wanna have a fancy drink for Thanksgiving. We're gonna make some homemade lemonade. So I usually do about 4 eggs and then I turn it off and scrape down the sides because I have not opened my package with the little attachment that already has the scraper on it. But some of you guys are probably fancier than me. We're gonna take a pause for a quick second because my oven is beeping and I gotta go get my pumpkin stuff out. Ooh, hot.
Need help there?
That's hot.
You sure you don't want some help?
I'm sure. I just silicone pans.
Okay. I know they're floppy. It's hard to handle.
Okay. And now we're gonna put this one in. Okay. Sorry guys. And that's really awkward, but I'm back. Burn my fingers. Somebody needs to hear this. Just because it's a silicone pan doesn't mean that it's not hot. I am someone because I burned my fingers. Because for some reason I just grabbed the silicone pans because it's not a baking pan. It's not gonna be hot. Okay, so what were we doing? We were scraping down the sides, just kind of scraping up the cream cheese that's in there and making sure that we get it all in there. Again, you guys, I think that's my grandparents, but again, you guys can use the spatula type thing and then you won't have to do this. But I usually do that halfway through adding the eggs. So 4 eggs in, then I start adding more eggs, scrape it down. I totally should have stopped the video and just started again, but y'all know how I do things. This is reason number like 430. Wow, yeah. I'm never gonna be on the Food Network. Just in the middle, I'd be like, hold on guys, I gotta like pee, and take a break or something. And you can't do that. So, whatevs. All right, so that's 8 eggs, and I know it's 8 eggs because all my shells are right here, and I have 2 eggs left. Just gonna move that out of the way. All right, so you're just getting this mixed up. The next thing you're gonna do, people always add salt when they're baking, and I do not understand it because nothing ever tastes salty. But I'm gonna do it just because, okay? So, like a teaspoon, okay? That's it. No more than that, because then it's just gonna get salty. My first batch, I just eyeballed it, and then it tasted a little bit salty. So I had to add a little bit more sugar so that it wasn't so bad. I will measure though the baking powder. The baking powder, you're gonna use 2 tablespoons, and I put that in right here. This is baking powder, guys, not baking soda. There is a difference, okay? So we're just, again, letting this get mixed up here. And then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of vanilla, okay? I don't like to measure, but if it's one of those things where like, if you go overboard, you're not gonna die, then I'm really not gonna measure it. So that's the vanilla, that's in here. What have I done? I've done all the things. Okay, now we have to make it like, we're gonna need to make it bready, but first I wanna make it chocolatey. So I have some unsweetened cocoa powder here, and so I wanna add this before I add my almond flour because I wanna taste it, because this is bitter. So if it's gonna take away my sweetness, then I'm gonna have to add some more powdered sugar replacement first. So I use the Ghirardelli's version, and I'm gonna start out with 1 tablespoon. Like I said, guys, this is like my first time doing this, so I don't know how much I need. I'm really just trying to make it look like chocolate. I don't need it to taste like chocolate. I just need it to look like chocolate for Huxley. So that I remember, let's do 2 tablespoons, because we did 2 tablespoons of baking powder. We did 2 tablespoons of vanilla. So that'll help me remember. All right, so we got 2 tablespoons working around in here. I'm gonna turn this off for a second and just scrape down my sides. It does look a little runny right now, but that's okay because we are gonna thicken it up. Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, oh, she's thick. That's funny. In case you guys don't know, thick is a way of saying like someone's curvy. It's a nice way of saying someone's curvy. So we're gonna make the batter thick. That's what we're gonna do. So we're just gonna let this mix together a little bit more. It looks brown to me. I don't know if Huxley's gonna buy it, but that looks brown to me. I don't know. You know what? Let's do another tablespoon. So we're gonna do 3. 3 tablespoons. Okay? So we're gonna add, we have 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder in here now. And we're just mixing that all up. Hey, Papa. How are you? I'm feeling as good as I can be. Baking up some treats. All right, so we have our cocoa powder added in here, and then the next thing we're gonna do is add our almond flour. So we're gonna add about 2.5 cups of almond flour, okay? See, I had to remember. But we wanna add it a little bit at a time. So this is a 1/4 cup. So I'm gonna need to add this 10 times. So we're gonna count together. That's 1. That's 2. If anybody talks to me, it just messes the whole thing up. And then I don't know how much is in there. That's 3. Wait, that's 3, right? Yeah, that's 3. I'm getting number 4. That's a cup. And the reason I'm not adding it, wait, that's a cup. We have 4. Hold that number, 4. The reason I'm not adding it all at once is because you want to add it a little bit at a time, or else it will clump up. All right, so this is going to be number 5. All right, and we're going to do 5 more. That'll give us 2.5 cups. So we're going to start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 makes 10. I totally forgot to do my hair today, so that's why it looks like this, but it works. All right, so now we're just gonna mix this up really well. Once it mixes up, I'm gonna test it just a little bit to see if the cocoa powder took away all my sweetness, because if it did, I'm gonna need to add some more, because I cannot have this tasting just like disgusting. It has to be good. All right, so I'm gonna turn it off, and then I'm gonna scrape down the sides. And again, if you have put your scraper thing on here, then you won't have to do this, but I still have my scraper thing in my box. I don't want to put it on here. So there we go. All right, so we're gonna mix this up some more. That looks like it's gonna be chocolate cake to me, y'all. I think Hux is gonna buy it. All right, so mix it a little bit more, and then I'm gonna taste it to see if it's sweet. I don't want too much. It's still pretty sweet. So we did 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Do y'all remember? It was 3, right? Yeah, it was 3. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this a little bit more. And then, I'm trying to think. I think I'm gonna put it in like one of those little bundt cakes because I wanna drizzle it with chocolate. I'm so excited to use my milk chocolate, Choc Zero chocolate chips. I'm gonna melt them and make a sauce and pour it down over the cake. One of these like old-fashioned cake things. I love these cakes because they remind me of big donuts. So we're gonna do that. I think it's called a bundt cake. All right, so we're just whipping this together, making sure we got it mixed really well. So here's the thing. I know, like I've seen some people when they bake, they do all the dry ingredients first and they mix them together, and then they do all the wet ingredients, and then they like slowly dump the dry ingredients in. The reason I don't do that is because that's 2 bowls and I only want to deal with 1 bowl. So I just do it the way that you guys saw me do it. Maybe you'll get a better result if you do it the way that most baker people do it, but that's just not the way that I do it. So I haven't had one turn out bad yet. So we're just gonna go with it. All right. The only thing I have not been able to really figure out is like my batter portions, because if I use less ingredients, I have less batter and I feel like I don't have enough to make. And one of the things I hate is like when you spend your whole life making a dessert and then it gives you like 6 or something. It gives you like, or it gives you a little mini cake. It's just, that's too much time, not enough cake. It has to be a balance. So I like to have a lot of batter, and I mean, I have an abundance of the silicone pans. I just have all of them. You can find them on Amazon. I'll link my Amazon list so you guys can find, and you will see literally every single solitary thing that I own. If it doesn't come from Target, it probably comes from Amazon. So like I try to tag everything on there so you guys know exactly where I got stuff. But I've gotten all my silicone molds from Amazon. They come in like little collections. I'm saying so much. Where you can get whatever you want. All right, so we're done this. This thing is so heavy. Okay, move that back. Now we're gonna take this bowl off of here. Most silicone pans do not need any type of spray in them. Most silicone pans do not need any spray in them. I wonder why I say Is it because I don't know what I'm gonna say next? Because I have no idea what I'm doing? Or all of the above? I'm gonna go with all of the above. I have no idea. All right, so part of the issue I've been having today is I'm in pain, but I'm managing. I haven't had to drive for the last few days, so I've been able to take like morphine and stuff at night, but it wears off, and then I'm just in like pain, like random sharp pains where it feels like someone set me on fire or something. So I've been doing a lot of this today. I'm sure I'm gonna feel it mostly tonight. So you see, there's still like half the batter left in this bowl. So you don't want to overfill this because it's gonna explode. So I'm gonna sit this over here, and then I'm gonna try to think of what size pan I want to do for the next thing. Maybe I'll use a bread pan because I'm gonna have both of them in the oven at the same time. So here's another silicone pan. I actually think these came in a set. I didn't say I said So this is a loaf bread pan, basically a thick cake. Like our thick batter. Remember I told you our batter was gonna get thick? Look how thick it is. Ooh, so nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna dump this in here. I'm gonna tell you this. Here's what I learned. If you won't eat the batter, you won't eat the cake. I feel like that's a whole, like you could probably do a whole TED talk on that. If you won't eat the batter, you won't eat the cake. So if the batter doesn't taste good, the cake isn't gonna taste good, all right? So taste your batter. If it tastes disgusting, just don't even put it in a pan. Like, don't even do that to yourself. Don't do it. I tell you, I had so many disappointments when it comes to baking, and really the only way to fix something that you baked and messed up is dunk it in chocolate. That's it. I'll just crumble it all up and then make little balls dunked in chocolate. I'll add like a bar of cream cheese to it and some more sugar, and it's basically just like a big old ball of sweetness. That's it. Nobody knows what it is. Can't make it again because I don't know how I messed up the first time. So we're just doing this. Hey, Ganny. My grandma's here, guys. She's gonna be making the main dishes for Thanksgiving tomorrow. So that is our chocolate cake. I'm gonna get a, let me see, where's my thing? Let's scrape this. There's just a lot of batter on here that can get baked. Look at all that batter. So the cool thing about this is when you eat a keto Thanksgiving, you have room for all the desserts. You don't have to pick, okay? Because that's probably the saddest thing, is having to decide which dessert you're gonna have. When you eat a keto-friendly Thanksgiving, you can have all the desserts because you don't feel so stuffed and bloated, all right? So my batter tastes good. This is gonna go in the oven on 350. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know exactly how long it takes to bake. I usually, when I make smaller or thinner cakes, I usually start at 25 minutes. I'll start at that with this, but usually I find the thicker pans like this, if it's thick like we made it, it's gonna take about 45 minutes, but I start at 25 and then I just check it. So why don't we say 35 minutes if you're making an actual thick cake, and then you can check it. But I feel like someone's oven is gonna burn it and then you guys are gonna be mad at me. So just go with what your heart feels, okay? Check on it. Check on your cake like you would check on a newborn baby, where you just keep going in there to check on them to see if they're okay. Don't open the oven, because I think if you open the oven, you let out the heat and then you mess it up. But have the light on and, you know, take a peek after about 25 minutes and you can jiggle it. And if it still jiggles, if it's still like jelly, it's not done, all right? So we obviously can't stay on here the entire time that these are in the oven. So I will come back and show you guys what they look like when they're finished. And then I'll come back and show you guys what they look like when I cover them in chocolate. Thanks for hanging out with me and baking. I think this is the first time I've ever done a baking video. And one of the reasons is I feel like inside my heart, inside my heart, on the outside of my heart, not the inside of my heart, because my heart is good now. But on the outside of my heart, I'll always be 260 pounds. I love delicious food. I love cakes. I love desserts. I love pies. I love cookies. I love a la modes. I love cheesecakes. I love ganaches. I love everything about desserts, okay? And personally, if someone shares a dessert with me or a dessert recipe with me and it turns out to be trash, I'm mad. I want my money back and I don't want to be friends anymore. So I don't want that to happen between us. So promise me, if you guys are going to make this recipe, that you do it basically apart from me. Don't associate me with it unless it turns out good. Then holler at your girl. Tag me. See you guys. Bye.